boogie in it.
Oh man. Wow. You just totally blew my cover. Speaking of which, I got itchy nose right now.
Okay.
Oh man. We're starting this broadcast with me talking about boogies. Whew. All
Perfect.
right. Hey folks, this is Mark Elias here with New Albany Realty. Today we are joined by Abbey Brooks. Abbey is a program manager at Healthy New Albany, and she has been in community development roles for more than 15 years. You gotta tune in to this interview to hear what Zumba class, healthy diet, and nude beaches have in common. Abbey, what's good?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me today.
Yes, yes, that's my pleasure. It's funny how we're starting a conversation. What does it mean when you have an itchy nose? Is there like a symbol behind that?
I allergies?
Allergies, right?
I don't know.
So you've been in some capacity developing programming for young people, for 55 and over, for all of these different demographics. Um, and yet you have a background in banking administration. You were at Fifth Third and Chase Bank. How did you go from that to this?
Well, my degree, the real question is how did I end up in a bank? I mean, whoever gave me that job, just they were having an off day. Um, my degree's in art history and classical humanities. So yeah, again, I don't know how I ever ended up in a bank. Um, and I did community programming all through college. I taught French in an after-school language program. I ran community programs for kids at the art museum. I went to Miami University, so at the Miami University Art Museum, I did sort of like community outreach and kids programming. I tutored, so I was always working with kids. I have no idea how I ever ended up in a bank.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
so, how did you go from? I guess you were previously in the Dublin system doing programming. How did you make your way over from the other side of town? Was that a move and living situation, or?
No, I worked for the city of Gahanna for several years and just was looking. So Gahanna is always going to be near and dear to my heart. I love the community. I love the people in it. I loved working there. Um, Gahanna does not have a community center. And I knew, really loved what I was doing and knew that the next sort of step for me was to go someplace at a community center. And so a position opened up at Dublin. And I commuted back and forth. I've lived in New Albany for 18 years. So
Oh wow. Okay, so this is home for you.
yeah, it is. It
So
is.
for those folks who don't know, Healthy New Albany is a nonprofit, a
Yep.
501 C3,
Yep.
C3 or 3C?
C3. Oh, geez.
C3.
Now
Got
that's
it.
gonna. Yeah.
One of the two. People know what we're talking about. Um, they oversee, manage, and produce the farmers market. They contribute to the New Albany Food Pantry. They have community gardens. They produce races and other community programming, such as yoga, healthy Halloween. And the mission is all in giving people options to feel good. So I guess my next question is how do you do that with your family? Are they like, do you serve them like McDonald's, or are you really conscious with your family about being healthy?
I mean, I think that health is a little give and take always. So my kids love McDonald's almost as much as they love Taco Bell.
Wow.
Right. But no, we do. We eat, for the most part, we do the best we can, and we try and eat pretty healthy. We move our bodies. We try and find things that are relaxing and good for us to do. So if that's reading a book together, or if it's doing a little restorative yoga, we do all these weird things. But I mean, we also sit on the couch and watch TV all day sometimes. while we're eating Taco Bell. So, I think it's just trying to keep yourself happy more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say happiness accounts for a big part of health and well-being. Just kind of going through the different facets that Healthy New Albany is involved in. Farmers market that occurs for the most part during the summer, correct?
Yeah, so they are every Thursday, starting at the end of June and running up until the week of the Walking Classic,
Hmm.
so early September. And then throughout the winter months, we are the first Saturday of every month indoors inside the Heights Center.
Got it. And how do you select the vendors for the farmers market?
So I'm not one of the market managers, so I hope that I get this right for them. Um, there's an application process
Mhm.
that it's an online application. People can vendors apply, and then they go through them and work with them on which weeks are they available and how does that work. We don't, of course, they don't want eight dessert places there at the same time. So
Sure.
trying to figure out like how do you have a nice balance of all the different vendors.
Got it. And then there's the New Albany Food Pantry, with whom I have had a conversation with Jennifer Coxon.
Yes.
And Jennifer was sharing all about the New Albany Food Pantry. It's astonishing to me. I think it was something like 500 kids are without food security in New Albany, and half are being serviced. I know that they recently had a box van donated. Tell me, how does Healthy New Albany and the Food Pantry overlap?
It's really to me one of the most beautiful things about our organization because our mission, you went through all of our different things, is to create a culture of health, and that's for everyone in our community. And one of the ways that we're able to do that are so our farmers market supports our food pantry because most of our vendors, um, at the end of the day, in the summertime, they will donate any excess produce, the goods, bread, things like that are left over, and it goes directly to our pantry and to our clients.
Awesome.
Um, so in our community garden, there are always two plots that are dedicated to the food pantry, that people volunteer and they help grow everything that's in there and then harvest it, and that goes to the food pantry. A lot of times our gardeners, if they have excess harvest, because sometimes you end up with 800 tomatoes and 60 zucchinis, and you're thinking, well, what do I do with all this? A lot of that goes to the food pantry. Also, we offer Chef Eileen Pewitt is one of the best and most wonderful dedicated volunteers for the food pantry, and she teaches our community kitchen cooking classes, which are open to anyone to register for in the community, but our pantry clients can also take those classes free of charge.
Got
So yeah, so it's a really like the way that it all weaves together is just, to me, it's the way that the whole world should work. um, and it's really wonderful to see that happen here in our community.
And so the Walking Classic was kind of the
Hmm.
mainstay event that Philip Height
Yeah,
created, which then birthed Healthy New Albany. And since then, you folks are producing a number of different races and walkathons throughout the year.
yeah,
Great.
yes. Yeah. Phil was a runner, and I think a lot of people know his story, so I'm not going to go into it all the way. But he suffered an injury, couldn't run anymore, so decided to start this walking race, walking only, and that was really the impetus for everything that sort of came afterwards. And it's great. It's
That's
been
great.
we're
Yeah,
lucky.
since I've had spine issues, I've been walking with my kids, and just getting out and walking clears your head, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, and it's great exercise.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
think that, for a certain age, it's probably not enough exertion. For me, almost being 40, I have enough aches and pains that, yeah, walking actually is enough exertion. Having to pick up a 1-year-old like 100 times a day has me being sore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're wiggly little things too. It's not like they hold still when you pick them up. So you're like using all your muscles to kind of support that little.
Right. And I know those were many years ago. You have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, right? Right.
Yes. Although my 7-year-old still wants me to carry him around the house all the time. He'll be like, Mama, pick me up. And I'm like, dude, you're like hanging down past my knees. I don't know how much longer we can do this.
So tell me something. In the front of our conversation right by the intro, I had said something about health and wellness and diet and nude beaches and kind of threw that in there absolutely as a hook to engage people. So some of the words your participants have uttered include I met Obama. I spent time with Nixon. I've been to a nude beach. I have met with the Black Panthers on a housing project. Who are these participants?
They're the most amazing people you would ever hope to meet. And they all live right here in New Albany. They are part of our 55 plus group. We have a group called Studio 55 plus. This group just celebrated its first birthday at the beginning of this month of May. We're still in May. Studio 55 Plus is put on in partnership with the city of New Albany. They're really dedicated to helping us provide programs for that 55 plus group. So we used to meet every Thursday in person at the center from 10 until noon. We would do all kinds of fun things. We did an art class with local artist Lori Clements, whose work is at Haley Gallery. She came and taught my group how to do this crazy art sort of experiment, and they got to take some stuff home. So we've done things like that. We've had cooking lessons. We have done Zumba. I think that was another thing. We brought in doctors to talk to them about, just health concerns, things that they're worried about, dietitians. We do all kinds of stuff. But now we are limited to, and we're not limited to, I don't want to say that. Now we're in a different place because we're all at home and doing this via Zoom. Because we want to keep that group. They're definitely in that high risk population. We want to keep them safe at home, but we still want to keep them connected. So we've started doing these. We meet by Zoom every Thursday from 10 until 11, and we've had to get pretty creative with what we talk about. So we played a game called Two Truths and a Lie. So they had to tell us
I love that game. I feel like on a whim I want to play it with you, but before I came on, I was like, I don't know what my lie would be. Do you have two truths and a lie?
I did. I upped my game too because I thought you might ask me this.
I know, because when you told me on the telephone, you're like, I like rocks. I skated on a pond, and I'm like, man, Abby, you're really boring.
I know, because I had no idea what was going to happen when we played this. I had no idea they were going to be throwing out, nude beaches and, pet groundhogs and Black Panthers and Obama. I mean, and I was like, wow, I'm so lame. So I rethought mine. I did a pandemic version for you.
Oh, nice. I haven't really thought about it, but on the fly, I'm just going to go and give it a shot. So you want to kick it off? So for the guests that are listening, Abby's going to share 3 statements. I have to determine if it's a truth or a lie. You're welcome to chime in on the chat box. And of course, those folks who have already commented will be sure to get back with you. Actually, why don't we address that right now? Chrissy Daniels Hagen asked, will the farmer's market be opening this year?
Yes, it will be. We are going to have a walk-up market. It's going to look different. We're going to be at Church of the Resurrection, so we have more space to spread out. And there will be, one entrance with, hand sanitizer and all that kind of stuff and social distancing, physical distancing. and an exit. And so it's going to look a little different. But yes, we are going to have our market because we know how important that is to the community.
Okay, good. That's what I like to hear. It's also really fun, and it's a good time to get out and mingle.
Yeah.
So, two truths and a lie. Hit me. What do you got?
So I said this is my pandemic version. I told you that there was a little craziness going on in my house, and I didn't want to give you too much. Okay. So my first thing is I had to yell, "Put down that pickaxe" during a work call. My second thing is my daughter was singing so loudly that my husband had to come upstairs from the basement where he was working and ask her to tone it down a little bit because everyone on his work call could hear her down in the basement.
Wow.
And then third is that my son called 911 while FaceTiming his friends.
Oh, interesting. Okay. See, these all sound very feasible. Let's see. I'm gonna go with truth 911.
Yep.
Truth, put down that pickaxe.
Yes.
And lie, your daughter was screaming from downstairs, interrupted the call. Nice. Okay. Rock on.
She was singing, but
Singing.
it wasn't my daughter. It was me.
Oh. Oh, really?
With the radio so loud.
That's awesome.
My husband came upstairs and he was like, "Where's Caroline?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Is that you singing?" And I'm like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "We can hear you downstairs." I'm like,
Good for you. Good for you. What were you listening to?
I think I was listening to some Brandy Carlisle at that moment.
Amazing. I was waiting for you to say Taylor Swift, and then it just would be, I could totally imagine it. Okay, Brandy Carlisle. All right, so what do we got? I'll give you my, when I was thinking about it, I didn't give you the pandemic version. I'm going to give you the regular one.
Okay.
Okay. So I've had, did you already look at my LinkedIn profile?
I did not.
Okay, score.
Little things that, okay, good.
Sure. So in my past, I've had a really eccentric past, and that I've had the luxury of failing far more than most people. I have far more experiences in my work world. So I'm prepping you, by the way, so you don't know. I'm like, I could be giving you the curveball right now.
I'm like starting to sweat a little bit, but okay.
Okay, here we go. So for 15 years, I was a DJ in New York City.
Ooh, that would be fun.
For 5 years, I was a dog trainer.
Okay.
And for a year, I worked for Lauren Michaels in video production, the producer of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, wow. I mean, I kind of hope for you that all of these are true. Let's see. I think I know that the dog trainer one is true because I saw that on yeah. Is that wrong?
Oh no! I'm laughing at myself. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll tell you why I'm laughing at myself. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go with, I don't know, the Lorne Michaels.
Is what?
False.
Okay. It does happen to be false. I'm laughing because I said like a year or so. It was a little less than a year, so it was kind of like not entirely accurate. Okay. But more so is that I didn't make something up as my lie. Like I just told like a close truth as my third statement. Like, I don't know.
That's the smart way to play the game.
That was nerves. Yeah, that's what that was. So when you played this game with the 55 plusers, they were very honest, and they made us look like we're still really boring.
Yeah, somehow.
Was there alcohol involved in when you did play it?
No. I mean, I'm a little scared to give them alcohol because they are there's so much, they share so much without it that I'm afraid that I don't know what would happen.
Yeah, I'm a sharer. My wife tells me that perhaps I share a little bit too much sometimes, TMI. Um, and it's funny, I was just thinking about it. 55 plus, those are almost empty nesters. So I'm 40, I have a 5-year-old. He'll be out of here in 13 years. I'll be 53. Yeah. Like 55 plus is almost empty nesters. So presumably they have a whole lot less stress and they're like really enjoying life.
Yeah. I mean, I always hate to do that because I feel like every stage of your life is, if you have different challenges for different reasons.
Totally.
Um, but yes, they do not have little kids running around the house.
Yep. That was very well put. They have different stresses. That might even be actually their health and well-being as you're older becomes tougher.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And they don't have little people running around the house. And as crazy as that is right now in this moment, I mean, I will say I'm not lonely
Yeah,
ever.
right?
I've
That
always got somebody clinging.
that clinging is the word. Absolutely. So for those folks like you and I that have little people during COVID, I'm coping and I'm aware of it by opening the refrigerator and pulling things out regularly.
Oh,
Instead of lunch, I had raisins, almonds, 2 muffins, broccoli, sweet potato, water, coconut water, and a bag of pretzels. It's so random, literally just pulling things out. So you're the representative, you're the programmer for Healthy New Albany. Where do
mhm.
I need to plug into to get my diet on game? Who's my resource over there?
Well, we're not doing cooking classes right now because we can't figure out how to do that, safely at this time. But
Sure.
back to us in a little while. And
Okay, done.
we'll have some dietitian classes and some things like that.
Done. Does your spouse or do you have a similar challenge during COVID of eating, like emotional eating or bored eating?
I I am not really an emotional or a bored eater. Um, so no, I mean I haven't had that. But I will tell you, my kids and my husband have been eating like crazy. I went to Trader Joe's a couple of weeks ago because I just really needed to get out of the house. And so I bought actually so many groceries that I was leaning over my cart trying to hold them all in.
Wow.
Pull up to the checkout thing. And the guy was like, you could have 2 carts. And I was like, yeah, but that seemed excessive. And he was like, so that's how much I bought and brought it all home. A lot of it was snacks. My kids, favorite snacks that they had been missing for a while, just things that they really love from Trader Joe's. And so I spent a lot of money at Trader Joe's. And this was Saturday, sort of late afternoon. I put it all away. Monday morning, I went in to get something. Maybe I have a snack from it. I can't remember what I was looking for something specific. And I was like, where is everything that I bought on Saturday? My kids, no joke, and my husband, probably ate $150 worth of snacks in a day and a half. I was
Yeah.
like, did, did you taste it? Did you just like inhale it?
Yeah.
Like,
How
are
do you get how do you get such good like discipline? Are you disciplined in other areas of your world so that like your diet game is just a reflection of every other part of your world you're pretty like disciplined in, or is your diet the outlier?
I I think that maybe it's the other. I'm just not a super hungry person.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I mean, I eat when I'm hungry, but this is really embarrassing. I could really probably sustain myself on um, like cookies and the occasional salad and a glass of wine every now and then.
Love it.
I make myself, yeah, we eat well. We eat a lot of veggies and things like that. But I don't know. I've just never been It's just never been a thing for me.
That's
I'm
great. Yeah, you have other ways of coping. I never was either until I had kids. Things changed. Like I started drinking coffee. I stopped drinking alcohol because it made me tired, and as a result, I wasn't getting enough sugars, and my body was demanding sugar. So I
yeah,
started going for desserts, which, if it's between red wine, which I really love, and desserts like sugar, processed sugar, red wine is far better for you.
yeah.
Yeah, I should probably get. It's funny that the representative from Healthy New Albany is encouraging me with real enthusiasm to get back on that drinking train.
You should not. It's healthier for you.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like a drinking problem. It's just I made a commitment when I started my real estate business.
Yeah.
There would be a couple of things that I would do to up my game and better care for myself so that I could really grow my business, support my family, etc. One of them was I cut out alcohol. Um, what are some healthy snacks for those folks out there that have managed to make it through our comedy during this conversation? What are some snacks that maybe would be good snacks, like almonds, cashews? Those are my two good snacks.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not a dietitian, so this is just coming from,
Come on.
the work that we've done with all of these people. So, but I mean, healthy things are always nuts, fruit, veggies, anything like that that you can eat. We like to put hummus on pretty much everything. My kids love pretzels and hummus, and that's, I
Yeah.
mean, a fairly decent snack. Um,
Mhm.
Peanut butter. Um, we love peanut butter, like on apple slices. That's a
Oh,
filling.
love
Yeah, it's a nice filling snack. Guacamole on tortilla chips. I mean, we kind of eat. We're dip people. We like to dip. Um, so I mean, pretty much any, and we like weird combos. My kids eat some really strange things. Sometimes they'll dip the apples in their hummus, and like in taco hummus, and I'm like, that is so gross.
it.
Whatever.
Hey, to each their own.
Yeah,
You and I have overlapping social circles. The principal over at Early Learning Center, Michelle Unger,
yeah, I love her.
she's awesome, super enthusiastic. She's got a great light, and she loves those little people. It's not an easy job.
No, we're so lucky to have her in this community. She is just everything that you would ever want in a principal in a building of preschool and kindergarten kids. And I mean, so we moved out of that building this year, and I have to say I was really sad. I miss being there when my daughter started kindergarten here in New Albany. Um, a friend told me, because I was like, oh my gosh, and I'm the normal worried stuff that happens as a parent of a new kindergartner when you've not done that before. And she was like, she looked at me, she's like, listen, I got to tell you something. She was like, the it was the K1 building at that time. She was like, the K1 building is Disneyland. She was like, the rest of the district, she's like, is also amazing. She was like, but that building is Disneyland. And I was like, and it really is. So
She, your interpretation of that was that it was so much fun. There was activities and a lot of characters and interaction, and kind of like Disneyland.
yeah,
Yeah,
like everywhere you go, it's all about the kids.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this, you know, high level of service, this expectation that everything is, bright and sunny, and it's there for you to make your experience so wonderful. And that's how that whole staff is. I mean, every single member of that team is just amazing.
She taught me something during our interview, and it was reaction, event, or is it event, reaction, outcome?
E plus R equals O.
Thank you. See, I knew I can count on you, Abbey Brooks.
Yeah,
So
they
I've been thinking about that. Like occasionally, I will think like, Okay, what was the event? How did you react, and what was the outcome?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very basic and very strategic way of thinking, a very clear formula of processing life for little people and for everyone.
Yeah, I was amazed. My son did preschool at that building also. And even when he was in preschool, I mean, so he's, what, 4, I think he was when he was there. He comes home with this little booklet that they were learning about the E plus R equals O. And he's like, so mom, he's like, if a kid is, mean to me on the playground, he was like, I have to think, well, if I'm mean back to him, are we both going to get in trouble? Or I could be nice to him and then we could just hug and play. And I was like, holy moly. I'm like, he really gets this. I'm like, this is
No,
amazing. Yeah. So they do a great job with that. And it's so important, I think, for kids to learn that at that age, because then it's just part of who they are as they grow up.
yeah. I think there's a lot of very basic life skills that
Hmm.
are taught to the younger people that will help create success for them, balance, health, and well being. I don't know if necessarily they need to get like the numbers and the alphabet as much as they do those lessons, or maybe they need to in addition. Let me say that differently. It's so funny. I'm not an educator, so I don't know how important each of these things are at a young developing brain, but I imagine they're all pretty important. The alphabet, numbers, life lessons, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they've got to get them all. And that's why Michelle is so good, because she does. Somehow they walk away with everything that they need. Because
you know,
I have learned I cannot do that from this homeschooling experience. Yeah. My son
yeah.
told me the other day, he was like, "You're not a very good teacher, mom." And I was like, "No, no, I'm not." I was like, "I know that."
Why did he give you that feedback?
I think because I couldn't figure out his math problem.
What type of math?
First grade. But they do it in a really weird way now. They do all this strange grouping. And I'm like, I know what the answer is, but it's not how, like when I watched the demo, I'm like, well, why would they do all of that work? I mean, why don't they just, carry the one? No, that's not how they do it. So,
Just so we're clear, you're employed by Healthy New Albany and you can't do first grade math. Okay, now that we
no.
got that clear, the next call I call is Philip White to say, "Hey,
Right.
buddy."
What
I'm
was he thinking? And, I don't know.
I'm
No,
kidding. I
I
know.
just, I just don't know how to get there according to
Actually,
his.
no. I did hear from a parent or someone that they teach math totally differently. Um,
Totally.
Yeah, and that it's apparently more effective way of teaching. I didn't experience it because they didn't share it with me, and my children aren't old enough. But um,
Yeah.
yes, I have heard of that.
Oh, just you wait. The fun will begin. And then you will struggle trying to explain to your kid how when 7 penguins are in the water and 8 are on the ice, and you have to figure out how many were all together in the first place, you can't just add the numbers together.
This is like SATs, but for junior people, like junior SATs.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
take the SATs?
Yeah, of course I did.
Do you know that I saw an article saying there may not be SATs?
Really?
I saw
We
some.
we took the SAT and the ACT,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about health and well-being. I think if I was a more healthy, well-rounded, balanced young man, I would have done better on the SCTs. Um, and I think that's a result of just not like, we talk about like balance and well-being and all that. That is so key, especially at the sponge age when you're just developing. You're like
Yeah.
so susceptible. You're like, it almost bakes in for the rest of your life what you're going to be. Um, that's interesting how that's also part of what New Albany, Healthy New Albany does is you create health and well-being like
Yeah.
for all parts of life.
Yeah, so we have the most amazing integrated wellness manager. Her name's Lori Bauer, and she teaches all of our yoga and mindfulness and sort of meditation and breathing and restorative yoga classes. And we actually got to go into the schools this year and work with the high school kids because we knew how stressed that they were. There's a stress reduction class through that's a it's a gym. It's a they don't call it gym anymore. What do they call it? Wellness. It's a wellness option.
Got it.
Um, yeah, and we, Lori went in, and one of our other amazing instructors, Jane, went in, and the kids responded so well to that. And it's funny because you start doing it. One of the first classes we went into, there were a couple of young men in there. They were football players, and they were like, "This is goofy," and they're like laughing as we're trying to get them in. And then they settled into the practice. And oh, here comes the kid.
Yay!
And hey baby, eat Scoot, okay?
Can you please get Minecraft?
He really wants Minecraft.
All right.
If
So
I say yes, will you Scoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
this might be
It's $7. It's $7. Can I get it? Can I get it?
We'll do it later.
I'm just gonna buy a game.
Oh, geez, this is awesome. You know what? This is part of what it looks like to be a well-balanced, fulfilled mommy and wife and employee with lots of things in your life. I love it.
Right, yeah. Buy him off with video games. Promise him
I
anything.
love it.
That was great. But what were we talking about?
I don't know, but before I forget, 2 questions.
Okay.
First, what do you love about your job?
Everything.
What do you not like about your job?
Well, right now that I can't go in there, and I really don't like the details. Like I don't like filling out the invoices, and turning in the receipts. I'm not good at that. Which I'm sure our office manager would agree with me on that one.
You're a content generator. You're a people interactor, and paper doesn't occur to you as stimulating or fulfilling. So I get it.
It does not.
Yeah.
But no, I love getting to work with people and just when they have that moment, when you can see that what you've done with them, that a light has turned on or something has changed, or even if they're just happy for a second. One of my favorite memories working in community programming in general was actually when I was at Gahanna. I managed the outdoor concert series, and they were all the time. It was relentless. It was great. I love live music. I love being outdoors. So it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot. Excuse me. It was like every Friday and Saturday throughout the summer when I was there. And so I'm sitting and I'm watching and I'm thinking, man, I just want to go home. And this family sort of walks through Creekside Plaza. And it was a mother and a father and their kids. And then they had a grandma and grandpa with them. I don't know who's whatever. But the grandfather is in a wheelchair and the son's pushing him. And the music was really lovely. And all of a sudden they're sort of like, you can see them because they're just sort of like pushing through the middle of this crowd. And all of a sudden the grandfather stands up out of his wheelchair and turns around and grabs onto his wife and just starts dancing in the middle of like the area. And it was just the sweetest thing. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is why we do this, just for that one little moment where he got up and danced, it was just so beautiful.
That's
so
awesome.
I love those types of moments.
Yeah, that's awesome. That encapsulates such a wonderful moment in time that you helped to create, you and your team. That's awesome.
Oh, I don't know. And then we get moments where I've got my studio of 55 people who tell me that they like to hang out on nude beaches, which also is a different kind of moment that I thoroughly enjoy because they're so much fun.
So are there metrics that define your level of success? Like, how do you know if you're successful
That's really that's something that this sort of industry struggles with, because there are some very subjective ways of measuring these types of things. So we can ask people, do you feel better than you did when you walked in? Do you feel like you've learned something? Do you think you will apply it? But but again, that's very subjective, and you'd have to collect so much data over so much time for that to really become significantly meaningful. So it's something that we struggle with. There are ways that you can like measure serotonin levels through saliva and things like that, but that's pretty invasive,
Yeah.
especially if we're talking about, things that we're really trying to help people feel good about themselves. So yes, we do collect facts. We do, we do those things. We ask those subjective questions, but it's not, as I get told occasionally, not super scientific.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it can't be. The the empirical data is the look people have on their faces when experiencing
Yeah.
the very thing you're producing, like Creekside Jazz Festival. When they're smiling and dancing. When you have the kids in Kids Walkathon, it was called the Kids Walkathon, was it? The recent one you had?
Oh, the kids marathon that we're doing, the virtual marathon.
Thank you, Kids Marathon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's great. We love seeing the pictures that people share of their kids, completing their marathon and doing things like that. So yeah, it's great.
so for those people in the community or just in the general area of Columbus that want to learn more about Healthy New Albany, where do they go?
So they can head to our website. It's healthynewalbany.org. And there are links to all of our different sort of offshoots. So the community garden, the farmers market, the food pantry, our community programs, all of that is in that spot. And you can learn a little bit more about who we are and what we do, and how that the money that we raise supports what we're doing in the community. We've got some really fun kids stuff that's coming up this summer. So yeah.
Great. And for anyone that wants to play Two Truths and a Lie, you should absolutely reach out to Abbey Brooks. You can find her on LinkedIn. I guess not Facebook, because you're Facebook challenged, as we discussed.
Yes.
But I'm sure you can find her information. If you Google Abby, she's all over the internet, and she'd love to play Two Truths and a Lie with you. Abbey Brooks.
If it's not boring.
It's so good to spend time with you. You're super fun. You have a great light to you. You're very good at multitasking, as your daughter came in to scream at you. Thank you for carving out time during your busy weekday, during mommy time and work time. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. You have such a nice light in you too. You can see your love of your community and what you do. So thank you for being here in New Albany.
All right, buddy. I'm Mark Elias with New Albany Realty, and that's it for today. Everyone stay safe and well, and a happy Memorial Day. Blessings and best wishes. We'll see you soon.